Howdy, everybody. Welcome to the Brother Sister Show, a family owned and operated podcast where two siblings keep in touch by talking about movies. This week, we're talking about Anthony's pick, Nomadland. Before we get to that, let's talk about what we've watched this week. Should I start? Because I've seen a lot.
Yeah. Start.
Okay. Well, first, do you want to guess how many movies I watched?
I can see the list, but I was honestly going to guess like 5 or 10.
Okay. Even as obviously me, the person who watched it, I was like, well, I was trying to figure out what to do for the podcast. And I was like, oh, maybe I should just like write down every movie that I watched. And so I found a list of all the movies and wrote down some. I didn't include some. I think I saw like a couple of short films, a couple of like episodic premieres, which is just pilots for some shows. So those aren't included, but I watched a total of 22 movies.
That's a lot for 1 week.
I know. And I was telling Sebastian that I don't know why. I think it's just my like, honestly, my brain that does this. But even when I do a lot in a week, there's some weeks where I'm like, oh, fuck, I didn't do anything. Like I felt I think it was Friday was the last day that I watched, like the last full day that I watched movies. And I thought, I don't know, I just felt like I like squandered my time for whatever reason. And then when I wrote them all down, I was like, oh, okay, I watch something like almost every hour.
That's a lot.
Yeah. And so I was going to rank them because I honestly thought it was like 10, but because there's so many, I broke it up into a list. And I don't know. I think now, I mean, I don't want to be like, the person that's like, well, I've produced one thing, so I understand the entire film industry. But now, like making something even remotely and even like a web series, I can feel, or I can identify a little bit more with how hard it is to make something, but also on top of that, how hard it is to make something and also how hard it is to know that that thing is good while you're making it. Because like you can think because it's your vision that this thing is amazing, but like you can show it to one person and they hate it. So
Right.
That being said, my list is broken up into stuff that I recommend because it like, for whatever reason, it spoke to me, and stuff that wasn't for me. So let's start with the stuff not for me.
All right. Let's go.
I'm probably just going to read off some of these and like go deeper into some that if you're interested in, I can go into. There's one called The End of Us that I think it was like a BuzzFeed production because when I was watching it, there were some people that I recognized and I was like, where have I seen you from? And then I remembered it from the beginning. It did say BuzzFeed Productions and I kind of like wrote that off.
Weird.
Yeah, but they were good actors, but it did feel like, I don't know, it was set during COVID about this couple that's like quarantined together. And it was fine, but I just felt myself getting kind of bored throughout it. The next one was Broadcast Signal Intrusion. It had a good cast, a good idea, but it just overall kind of fell flat for me. And it was really hard to follow. Next, Off Season. I don't really remember what that one was about. So I guess that's the most you can say for that. The next one I put With Hunt, but it's actually called Witch Hunt. I really, really wanted to like this one because it's like set in a modern day time ish where obviously not the world that we live in, because in this world witches are real, but they're outlawed. And so it's just people like trying to smuggle witches across the border to places that are more accepting. Like it's a cool concept. And maybe if they had better special effects, it would have hit a little bit harder, but it just wasn't. It didn't work for me. Another called Sound of Violence. This one was supposed to be like a part of their Midnighters competition where it's just all the scary movies that are released at like 9:00 at night. Yeah, it was weird. It was about this girl that's like, she has like synesthesia, which is, I think that's when you can see sounds, like you can like see, colors and whatnot. But she can only produce that. She has that, but she can only produce it through sounds of violence. So like when she is hurting people, when she's like murdering people. So it's an interesting concept, but again, it just like I don't really like what they did with that concept. Another one was called Fucking with Nobody, and this one just If there is ever a movie that's too artsy that I don't get it and I don't like it, then it's this one.
Really?
But I just think it just wasn't, like I said, just wasn't for me. Because I like the acting and I thought parts of it was funny, but just the way, like some certain choices was just like, and the last one I would talk about that was very strange, and I wanted to like it, but it felt a little gimmicky. Was it's called R#J, which is, I think that's how you say it. I think I've told you about this one, Anthony, but it's Romeo and Juliet. But basically, if it was modern day and took place mostly or it took place on a phone screen, but then there was a lot of texts, it was a lot of social media, and it's like I said, interesting concept. I liked the that because there's obviously an adaptation of this story has been done before, but I liked this different aspect to it to make it a little bit fresher, I guess. But the one thing that just, well, first of all, the acting was just so like weird because you're acting on a phone, right? So it's kind of like it just feels a little much. The second thing was that the texting, like the text lingo was like me and you if we were to text or talk, just normal modern day talking, or I don't know how to describe it. Lingo. There you go. But whenever they talk to each other, like on FaceTime, there's a lot of live streaming, and like I've never seen this much live streaming in my fucking life. Where like every character in this movie, every time something happened, they would live stream. Which maybe that's what took me out of it, because I was like, "You're really gonna live stream a fight?" Like it was just so strange. But every time they talked to each other, it was through like Shakespearean lingo and talk, like
English.
Basically like how it's written. And I honestly, I think it would have been funnier, and I see why they didn't do this, but through the texting, I would have liked if they did that Shakespearean talk throughout the entire thing, even in the text, even like translate Instagram to that. Like I thought that would have been really funny, but I see why they didn't do that, because I don't think it's supposed to be funny. Yeah, I don't know. It was okay. It just was not for me. Okay, now to the good ones. So there's two of the Midnighters that I really did like. I think there's another one in here, but the two I'm remembering is one called Violation, which was, I don't even want to, I could tell you off the pod, but it's like there's no way for me to tell you what it's about without spoiling it.
Right. Okay.
But it's about, I guess, a woman being violated and her trying to like take revenge for that. And it's a wild ride, but I really did like it. And Sebastian came home when I was watching that, and he wanted to watch. I think that's when he was watching the Snyder Cut.
Oh,
so he was watching it on his phone, and I was watching this movie, and some wild shit happens in this movie, and so he would like pause, and he's like, "Wait, what is going on?" Another was The Feast, which is another artsy one. I also can't really say much about it because the entire plot is kind of like a secret. And I really love that about these movies, that I didn't really know anything about them. And so I just like went in blind, and it really worked
awesome
for me. But this one is a huge allegory for like climate change, for disturbing, I guess a burial ground, like stuff like that. I guess that's kind of a spoiler, but whatever. The next one, just probably one of the most high profile because it was a headliner, is called Dancing with the Devil, and it was Demi Lovato's documentary. That one, it's a not a premise, but it started out interesting because apparently she's supposed to do a documentary in like 2018, but they decided to stop it. I think that's when she had her first or one of her overdoses, and she had to go to rehab. And she just felt like she was lying the entire time, because basically they had been recording her up until she overdosed.
Oh.
And so she decided to, like, obviously they stopped the project, and then they came back to it, I want to say last year or 2019. Actually, I think it was 2019. And then this one was like using footage from the other one, but basically her saying like, yeah, that was a lie. I was doing drugs during this. Like, it was like,
whoa.
Yeah, I was just really surprised by how honest she was. but I don't know. I guess we can talk about it more if you ever. I don't know if you're interested in watching it, but this is the one that you can watch. I think there's a couple that you could watch, because this one's gonna come out on YouTube. It's like a YouTube original or something. I
Oh
don't know
wow.
when. I want to say at the end of the month. Um, so we could talk about it more after that because it is interesting. Um, especially how honest she was and just like the stuff that happened to her. The next was another, I guess, two more that were documentaries. Was one called Hysterical, which follows a lot of female comedians just about like what it's like to be a woman in comedy. And spoiler alert, it fucking sucks.
I can
um,
imagine.
yeah, and that was just another interesting like story to watch happen. The next was The Lost Sons, which is a wild story about this guy that there's another one that's like a long web of just like wild shit where he was like supposedly these parents like their kid was kidnapped from a taken from a hospital, and then like I think a couple months after or like a year, a good amount of time after, they found a kid and they were like, "Oh, this is the kid that we were trying to find because he was just abandoned somewhere." And so he was given back to his parents, but then he found out when he was like 50 or 40, like pretty old, that he is not that kid. He was not the missing child. And he's just, I guess the documentary is just about him trying to figure out who he is and who this kid that he
Wow.
took the kid that he's living his life, who he is.
He's like an
Um,
imposter, kind of.
exactly. But he like didn't know that.
That's crazy.
So that was a crazy, and it's a very interesting story, obviously, and one of those where I was like, how the fuck did I never hear about this? Um, the next one was Language Lessons, which was a movie with Mark Duplass in it. It gave me kind of because it was over Zoom. It felt like I got a lot of creep vibes, but just because it's not a scary movie, it's like actually like a sweet movie, but just because it's him and like with
Oh.
recording with a camera, it just felt like it. Like there's moments where he was just like laying down on a bed and just quiet, and I was like, oh god. But that's just a really good movie about him, and then Natalie Morales who directed it, and she's been in some stuff like not movies, TV shows that I've seen. I think she's been in Parks and Rec, but yeah, so she directed it. It's about his character getting language lessons to learn Spanish, and then they like form a bond. Very sweet, very COVID-y.
Cool.
Here Before has, oh, I forgot her name, but the actress from Possessor. I saw her face on the like preview, and I was like, oh yeah, I'm watching that. And she delivered. She was like the best part of that movie. It was interesting, like an interesting psychological thriller. Very good. I'm sure it's going to be sold to like Hulu or something, so it'll
Nice.
be available sometime. See You Then is actually one I was super excited to see because I've actually gotten to know the director Mari Walker a little bit. And it was obviously like she's an amazing director, amazing person, and the movie amazing. It's a really it's one of those movies that's just basically a conversation, like just
Oh,
the span of a one night conversation of two people that used to date each other coming together and like talking about like what happened to their relationship. And I really love those kind of movies
that's awesome.
because it's all dialogue, it's all acting, and it also just gives a new perspective to the story of a transgender woman that I've never seen before, and that I think a lot of people will really identify with and appreciate. So hopefully that one is available somewhere, but that one was so good. Um, I'm trying to. Sorry, if this is going too long. All right. Um,
You're good.
uh,
There's a South by segment.
yeah, I'm trying to go fast, which I'm talking really fast. Okay, so the next was Violet. Very good. This one is also kind of gimmicky, but it really worked. Where it's a movie, like it has Olivia Munn, and it's about her as I think she's a film producer actually, and she is just like dealing with her anxiety, her mental health, and while her story is going on, we also hear her inside voice, like her inside voice, like the voice inside her head, which is voiced by Justin Theroux, who is like that voice that tells you you're like a piece of shit, that you hate, like everybody hates you, like that voice.
Yeah.
But it also has like throughout that, it has writing, like not really closed captions, but like actual like handwriting on the screen. That's kind of like her other voice that's calling out for help, where she's in a conversation with somebody and it's not going well. And her voice is like, he thinks you're an idiot. You're stupid. Everybody hates you. And then the written thing at the same time says like, I don't know why I do this. Like it feels like a little too much at times, but it works perfectly. And it's just so I really loved it. I hope it's available sometime because it's one that I really want to talk about.
Like Inside Out.
Not really. Well, I guess kind of,
That's the vibe I got when you were describing it. An adult Inside Out.
kind of. But yeah, I don't know. I think I can just relate to a lot of what her character went through.
I see.
So I just really liked watching that. Another is I think it was one of their like festival favorites. So it didn't premiere at South by, but it was one that goes around to a lot of festivals.
Right.
It's called How It Ends, and it's directed by Zoe Lister-Jones, who is a very good director, one of my favorites. And it's just a girl going through the last day on Earth, like walking to a party. And it just has like a bunch of people in it, like Nick Kroll's in it. Like she just like it's basically just like her character just literally walking through LA, and she just meets like a bunch of different people. And it has like Nick Kroll, Charlie Day, like just a bunch of like random funny people. I think another guy from It's Always Sunny was in it too, and he just like is following her around.
That's funny.
Very good cast. All right, almost done. The next one is called Introducing Selma Blair. And I'm sure, oh, you know who Selma Blair is. Wasn't she in Hellboy?
Oh.
I think so. I don't know her character's name, but she's in like Legally Blonde. She's a really good actress, but she hasn't been in a ton. And it's just going through her. She was diagnosed with MS, I think a couple of years ago. And it basically is just a documentary that takes place during one of her treatments, her stem cell treatment or transplant. And it just talks about like a little bit of her career, but just mostly showing what it's like to live with MS and what it's like to be a person of like a public figure, I guess, or a famous person that's going through like having a disability, and just what that means, what that looks like, how that feels. Like it's another one of those like very honest portrayals of her life. It was really interesting, and like I really like that she did that. And I feel like a lot of people that have either the same disability or similar ones feel seen, which is nice.
A lot of transparency at these South by movies.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it was really. It felt like one of those where it feels like a privilege to see. You know. All right, the next few ones I put like some of my favorites at the top. So the one is called The Fallout, and this is directed by Megan Park, who was in. She's been in a few things, but the main thing I remember her in is The Secret Life of like an American Teenager or something like that. Do you remember that show? I think it's before your time.
No, I don't remember that. Megan who?
Megan Park. Sorry, ours on the desk. I need to get them off. Get down. Megan Park. So she, I think this is her first movie that she's directing, but basically it just shows the fallout, like the aftermath of these. I think mostly these three kids, or it focuses on one, but it shows like the lives of these three teenagers after they survive a school shooting.
Whoa.
And it was just mostly just about dealing with trauma. This is a very specific trauma, but it's obviously, like I said, like it kind of anybody that's dealt with trauma, I think this is like a good movie to see, especially the ending. I'll tell you off off the pod if you want me to tell you. But the ending was one of the most like affecting endings I've seen in a while, and
Dang.
very simple, and I really liked it. Um, all right, the next two are my favorites. One of my favorites. So the first was called Recovery. And this is also one of those like set during COVID movies. But
Hmm.
this is a comedy where these two girls, I think it's like during the beginning of COVID, they these two girls, their grandmother is stuck in a nursing home. And I don't know if you remember that time when like it felt like every nursing home was like infected with
Right.
COVID. And
Yeah.
so their grandmother's nursing home was infected with COVID, and they were like, you have to go pick her up. And so they take a road trip. I don't know how long it was, but they take a road trip to go get her. And it's a comedy, and it was actually like very funny. I think it's other than the first one I liked, it's one of the movies that made me laugh like the entire time. It was so funny. I forgot to
Nice.
get Sebastian to watch it, but it was very, very funny. And the last one that was probably oh wait, no, two more. These two are my probably a toss up to my favorites. The first is called In Between Girl, and I learned it's actually it was I knew it was directed by somebody from Texas, but I learned it's direct the director used to work at where I work, which I did not know that, and I just it made me love it even more.
Dang.
But it's kind of I don't know. There's not really. It's just about like a teenager that she's dealing with her parents' divorce, and she decides to like sleep around with one of the popular kids, but like nobody knows, and just about her dealing with just all the things happening around her. And I really loved it. It just felt like one of those classic movies that I feel like if I could, and hopefully it does get sold somewhere, that I could just watch like whenever I want to feel
Right.
some comfort, you know?
That's cool.
The last one is, which is probably my favorite, was called Ninja Baby.
Ninja
And
Baby.
yeah, it was very sweet, very actually this is one that I probably would watch all the time. Because it was just very like felt very warm and fuzzy, still pretty dramatic, an ending you don't expect, just like really, really wholesome too. I don't know, I just really loved it. And it's about a woman who has a one night stand and finds out she's pregnant. And so she has to deal with that. And that's all I'll say. But
Ninja Baby.
yeah. Yeah. And the thing, so I will say, it's kind of, I was trying to think of what movie it reminded me of, but the girl, the like main girl is she like is an illustrator, not really an illustrator, but she draws. And so a big theme of the movie is that her drawings like they'll like come to life or they'll be a part of the movie. So like if she's talking about something, then it'll illustrate it. And so the
Oh.
reason, yeah, and I don't know if this is a plot point that's like it's called Ninja Baby for a reason, obviously, but so that's what she calls her baby for a specific reason that I guess I won't say. And because those illustrations just are part of the plot, they kind of have like they move it along a little bit. One of like when she's talking to the baby, or I guess when she's thinking about talking to the baby, she like actually set like talks out loud. And there's this illustration of a little like fetus that has like a ninja like mask. And so it's just really funny that she talks to it and it's like talking back to her. And it's like this little illustration that is just like walking around her room. And yeah, I didn't explain that well at all, but
I
it's a
see.
really fun like new kind of way to tell a story that I really liked. Yeah,
A lot of
that's
movies.
it. That only took 20 minutes.
I mean, that's a lot of movies. So that's really
Yeah.
cool.
You can cut as much or as little as you want out of that, but hopefully
I'll cut nothing.
yeah, but I'll try to keep track of the ones I really liked so I can tell people where to watch it. Oh, so I know, like I said, the Demi Lovato one, I don't know when it's out, but I also know that Hysterical, that documentary, is going to be on FX and then Hulu the next day. I want to say this week, and I want to say the 26th, but fact check me, I guess. But Hysterical on FX and then on Hulu the next day.
Cool.
And I'll let y'all know if anything else is sold somewhere or goes somewhere.
Did you watch anything else?
No, I've been watching ER.
Oh,
And I told Sebastian when uh, I told him like next or this week because I'm getting my wisdom teeth out, and he obviously has he took some days off too so he can like take care of me, and I said, oh, that's all we're gonna do is watch
ER.
because then it makes me I know it's fake, but it makes me feel better where I'm like, hey, he's having open heart surgery in an ER. I only had to get teeth out, so like
There you go.
could be worse.
The grass is greener
Exactly.
on this side. That's what they're thinking. I watched the Snyder Cut. Man,
You can I
I
allow you to take 20 minutes to talk about it.
I could, but I won't. I can't even imagine how that movie got to be so bad in 2017. It's ridiculous. The Snyder Cut is long for sure, and I think if Snyder stayed on, and he left for some good reasons, like right, his daughter was sick, she had some stuff. I don't really know exactly, but he left because of that.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. So I feel I at the very least I'm happy that he was able to tell his story, what he had visioned.
Okay, but I will say, I didn't watch it, but that I've been seeing a lot of memes about that. The title card at the beginning where it says like this is going to be shown in 4:3
Oh yeah.
ratio to keep the integrity of his vision. And I was like, okay, okay, Zach, let's chill out a
I,
little bit.
I like the 4-3.
I know, but I just you don't need to preempt it with any sort of like we needed this. It's kind of dramatic.
Oh yeah. I mean, there's so many different things that I wish I have unseen, or I could unsee the 2017, the Joss Whedon one. It's bad.
Yeah. I don't
It's
even
so
I told
bad.
Sebastian I couldn't even tell you what I think happened in that movie. I think I just blocked it out of my memory.
And the thing is, if you really watch the Snyder Cut, everything makes sense. Like, granted, it is 4 hours. Everything makes sense. Every action that the characters make makes sense. In the other
Yeah.
one, it's like, why are you doing that? And after I watched the 2017 one a couple times, 2, 3 maybe, even the director's cut.
You're like taking notes like I don't this doesn't add up.
Yeah, yeah, and it's like the Snyder cut was like, all right, let me just explain everything in the other ones. It doesn't. It's ridiculous how bad it got. There's so many different things. Like the one thing I'll point out that I saw on Twitter was a side by side almost where they showed an interaction between Martha Kent and Lois Lane in the 2017 version. It was so gross. Like it felt so fake. Like if I was Lois Lane and my mother-in-law, like not even mother-in-law, if my boyfriend's mother came to me seeking to like console me about her dead son, that's not how that interaction would go. Like at all. She's like, "Oh, well, my
Yeah.
house is gone. It was too big for me anyways." Damn. But in the Snyder one, it's like that would happen. That would so happen.
Mm.
And like so many characters, pretty much every character got like Willem Dafoe got more screen time.
Willem Dafoe's in it?
He's an Atlantean. He looks kind of dumb, like
I
the
think I
costume.
just like yeah. I was trying to tell Sebastian. I was like asking, "Is that the movie where this happens?" And he's like, "All these things you're saying happened in Batman versus Superman." I was like, "Oh, I guess that's the only one I remember." An interesting thing that I asked him about, I was like, I don't understand the DC. I don't understand what they're doing. It makes like it to me, doesn't it feel embarrassing to like have this happen twice where you put out two movies that are essentially gibberish. Like I don't know what the fuck happened. Like in Batman vs Superman and Justice League, I'm like what's going on? And I was like, "Oh, maybe it's just because I don't know anything about these characters." But Sebastian's like, "Yeah, no, I don't know." And
Yeah,
then I have seen because I know there was another cut of Batman vs Superman that's also 4 hours,
yeah.
and Sebastian and I watched that, And I only watched that because it was on a drive from Mexico that was 10 hours. So I was like, yeah, let's do this.
Right.
And I just asked him, like, why even, like, why not just do the Marvel thing? Just like give each of these characters their own movie so this can actually fucking make sense. But a good point Sebastian brought up is that, like, I just didn't get that at all. And he said they're trying to catch up. So that's why they're rushing things. And I said,
Yeah.
oh.
And I feel like if they had waited to release Justice League with Snyder's Cut, like especially if you watch it, there's like the enemy is completely different,
Oh,
right?
really?
Yeah, it's like he has the same motivation, but it makes away like I can't emphasize this enough. Everything makes so much more sense if you watch the
That's so
Snyder Cut.
sad.
It
That's
is
so sad to
because
me.
it's such a waste of time that it's such a disrespect to everyone involved, like especially Ray Fisher. I think he plays Cyborg, right?
Oh, because Joss Whedon's a piece of shit.
Yeah, like his character was completely cut out of the other one. It's just it's atrocious. Go watch it. It's a lot darker. Yeah,
Like
some cool
visually?
cameos. Oh yeah, visually it is a lot darker. It's a lot longer. It took me like pretty much all weekend. I was
Uh,
like at a good point, and I was like, it was like the action was getting. I could see where it was going. We're like chugging along, and then I paused it for a second to see how long I had left, and it was only halfway through, and I was like, I'm going to bed.
I can't do this today.
It was like midnight. I was like, I'm not staying up till 2.
It makes me think of Ari Aster said that his new movie, which I think Joaquin Phoenix is going to be in, that he
Nice.
wants it to be like a 4-hour thing. And I was like, that's the only man that I'll watch a 4-hour movie from. I'll
Right.
sit through it and I'll say, okay, let's fucking do this then. Because
Empty your bowels.
yeah, I would do it. 4-hour movie. Fuck you.
Right? Like
That's what I would say, like in a creative meeting with DC. You want to make a 4-hour 4-hour fucking movie? Fuck you.
get out
Are
of
you
here.
kidding? And you know
It's
what? I want it in 4:3 ratio.
it's like you're looking through it through a
Now I'm
viewfinder.
intrigued. Oh, God
No,
damn it.
I thought it was good overall. Good
That's good.
movie. I wish it came out in 2017, at least the first half, and then like they definitely could have split it up.
2017.
Yeah, that and they would have had such a good because I don't think Warner Bros wants to make any movies with Snyder again. I think he
Why?
said that. I think
Is he also not a good person?
I don't know. I think he said that I'm not sure if they're interested. Fact check
You
me
know
on that.
what?
I could be very wrong.
So, yeah, sorry, go on.
Oh, that was it. They had like a good trajectory to go on to further movies if they had done that.
So what's happening now?
I don't know. Batman.
Yeah, but
Robert
that's not in
Pattinson.
the same universe, is it?
No, I don't know. I honestly have no idea.
I think DC just needs to just give up.
I think
Marvel's got it. Like, y'all need a. It's getting embarrassing now. It's like really sad. Oh, wait, Birds of Prey was good, wasn't it?
I like
didn't
Birds
watch
of
it,
Prey. A
but
lot of people didn't. I
yeah,
did.
but usually if I hear a lot of with like movies like that have like already a huge fandom, if they collectively hate a movie, then I'm like, oh, I'm probably gonna like it.
Oh,
Like the Star Wars that everybody hated, apparently, I'm like, oh, that's my favorite one.
yeah.
But whatever.
Well,
I'm
I
glad
watched that.
you enjoyed it.
I did. I'm not gonna let anyone stop me.
That's fine.
And then I watched After.
Oh yes.
Gosh,
Oh man.
that was terrible. That was like I only have a couple notes on this movie.
Oh, you took notes?
I took a couple.
Good.
It's like one about Harden. I know you said to guess all the characters, but I watched it with Kayla, my roommate, and they just kept on saying who it was. So
I told Sebastian that we should do that, and then I totally forgot, so I don't even know.
But none of that movie makes sense. Like,
Oh yeah.
there's no way.
I want to see the Snyder Cut for that.
There's no way that those are real people, or those are even. How do you even come up with those people?
Well, okay. Do you know what it's based on?
Yeah, it's like Harry Styles or
Fan fiction, yeah.
yeah. Which why would you? How do you pitch that? I felt the same way about the writer as I do about Stephanie Myers. How she should be in jail, and that movie should never have been made. And apparently, they make a cameo in it, and
Mhm.
after, and I was so stupid. Anyways, Harden, the
Yes.
the guy,
Hardin Scott, aka Harry Styles.
Harry Styles, it reminded me
Harden.
so much of the kid in 8th grade.
Oh,
The,
yeah.
just a
You
stupid
told me
face.
that, and I was like, I don't get that, but now I get it. Yeah.
Just a stupid face is how it's so obvious in 8th grade how it's like, why is everyone making a big deal about this kid? Like, why is Kayla in the movie like so infatuated with that guy? That's exactly what I was like. It's this guy's a child. This guy's so dumb.
Did your roommate and then Kayla, what did they say? Did they think he was attractive? Because I didn't get it either. I was like, what?
Huh? You don't like him? No. They don't like him.
Okay, I was just curious.
No. The
No.
Kayla, the character in 8th grade. Her name is Kayla. She looked at me like,
Like,
I
how
would
dare you stop the podcast?
stop. End the recording. No, not you, Kayla. Other Kayla. Oh man. Uh, and it's funny because he's British, right? But it's not a. It, there's no way that's a real accent. But he's actually British.
Yeah. I didn't look it up, but I wanted to look up, like, does he do something to his accent? Like, is that actually how he talks?
It's like if I did a British accent. It's so
I
bad.
also think he's the guy that plays
Dumb.
Voldemort. I think that's his nephew. He's like
No way.
related to him.
Is that why I hate him so much?
Why I hate him?
No, is that why I hate him?
Oh, probably.
Oh man, I just it bothers me that
So bad.
like money was put into this. Like movies like this bother me because like so many other good movies could have been made. Other stories could have been told.
Yeah,
But I
but
mean, if the market's there, if people like it.
I also don't like that girl, the actress. I don't
She
care for her at all.
she reminded me of the main character in I think it's a James Cameron movie. Alita, maybe.
I don't know what that is.
She has huge eyes. That's just what it reminded me of. But I just hated like they moved in together like so fast. And
Yeah,
then
I think that's a common thing with fanfics. I've read a couple because I
oh,
was interested, and they're very interesting. I think I've actually read some of this one because I when I was
uh,
on like the Tumblr days, it was super popular, and so I read like some of it, and that's a huge thing is moving in. Well, first of all, the guy has to have like a ton of money for no reason, and then he has his own apartment, and then she moves in. Well, that's also what happened in 50 Shades of Grey, no?
I'd never seen that movie.
Oh, yeah, where she like I don't know, he's just like so rich and he's like, I want you to live with me. And she's like, no, I like my shitty apartment. And, like, it's so stupid.
Yeah, none of that whole like group of friends made sense to me. But
Yeah, and they all like there was one that looked like 16, one that looked like 30.
45.
Like,
All the guys were at least in their 50s.
yeah.
The last thing I have to say is I didn't know that the movie was gonna go this way. Like it was gonna be the whole like, oh, he did it all on a bet, but then it
Oh, I
turned real.
forgot about that, yeah.
I was like, man, why would you have to throw this?
Wasn't that a good twist?
Why would you have to throw this trope in there that has already been done so many times, but in like such a better way?
It's all a bet. I totally forgot about that. And I
Well,
forgot that you don't know that until the end either, as the audience.
yeah,
Oh god, I can't wait for you to watch the second one.
I'm gonna win this week.
I don't think so.
I
But
have a
we'll see.
web. I have a web
All right.
that I've created.
All right,
That's it.
let's go to the break and then we'll be right back. After losing everything in the Great Recession, a woman embarks on a journey through the American West, living as a van-dwelling modern-day nomad in Nomadland. Directed by directed by Chloe Zhao, based on the book by Jessica Bruder, adapted by Chloe Zhao, starring Frances McDormand, David Straightharn, and Linda May.
As for its estimated budget, we don't have those figures, or we do have how much it made opening weekend, which is about 500,000. US it grossed about 1.9 million, worldwide about 2.1 million. The critics gave it a 7.6 out of 10 on IMDb, 94% on Rotten Tomatoes, and a 93% on Metacritic. IMDb always slacking.
Yeah, but whatever. Alrighty, let's get right into it. So we start out with a title card that just sets the scene of what kind of world we're walking into. And it's in Empire, Nevada. Okay, let's start. Let's pause. That's not where it takes place, but it gives some background as to like what the plot means. Like after losing everything, like what Fern comes from. I mean, she's from Empire, Nevada, which is a company town, and it was actually a real place that was owned by U.S. Gypsum. In 2011, hopefully I'm saying that right, U.S. Gypsum closed the mine, and subsequently the town with it. Workers and their families were allowed 5 months of a continued residency in their company-owned homes after the closure. The zip code would even later be discontinued as Empire became a ghost town. So I didn't even know these things existed, but just to recap, this was like a mining town. And because if you worked there, you have to live near the mines, obviously. And you live in base. It's kind of like a military base where
That's
you
what it
live in
seems
the
like.
housing. Yeah. And that's what it looked like too. Just you live in their company owned housing. The one thing I didn't understand though is why they would have to leave, especially because they became a ghost town. I'm sure there's a reason why, but that's so strange to me.
Yeah, especially because later in the movie, Fern talks about like everything that they had, and like all
Yeah.
of that was just gone. But I guess if it's
Yeah.
completely centered around the mine, I could see it.
Yeah. That makes sense. All right, and so another thing I want to do is define what a nomad is, because I didn't really know. I've heard that term before, but didn't really get a sense of what they actually were. So a nomad, according to dictionary.com, is a member of people or tribe that has no permanent adobe, but moves around from place to place, usually seasonally and often following a traditional route or circuit according to the state of pasturage or food supply.
It's abode.
Is it abode?
You said Adobe.
Is
You're like
that
I
what
think
I said?
I think I'm saying that correct. Adobe.
Should I do that again or you want to keep it in?
That's funny. Even you begging me to take it out, please.
I just asked. I didn't say take it
I know
out.
it's just joking. Damn, Adobe. So dumb. Continue, please.
Adobe Illustrator and Photoshop. Okay.
Nothing but
Keep it in.
Adobe on my mind.
Oh no. Okay. Keep
I'm
it in.
without Adobe. Who am I? No home. All I have is the
If I'm
Adobe
this
Creative
dumb,
Cloud.
imagine how dumb I'll be after my wisdom teeth are taken out. I'll be able to say sentences. Okay. Frances McDormand, who plays Fern. Oh, fun fact. That just like threw me for a loop.
Bro, what is happening? Why are you so angry? Fun fact, by the way, dumbass. Oh my gosh.
I don't know. I'm losing it. Thank you, because I still can't believe I said Adobe. What in the world?
Bro.
Why? But also dictionary.com. Who says abode? What the fuck?
It's that's a clip right there. It's
Even now, I almost said Adobe again. Oh no! Holy shit!
uh,
Wow, that's
our Instagram clips are either me comparing to Interstellar or Tobey Maguire, or you just saying something dumb. Oh my god.
how much sadder would it be if you didn't correct me if you also didn't catch that? Oh, my stomach hurts. Okay, wow. so, so to prepare for the role of a nomad, Frances McDormand, who plays Fern, had to fully immerse herself into this role. In fact, she blended into the nomadic community so well that one of the local targets offered her a job. Which is a dream. Honestly, a dream. What if she was like, I'll consider it. Frances also really lived in the van in the movie for about 4 to 5 months that it took to film and the 7 states that they traveled to. She adopted a lifestyle of being constantly on the move to make the movie seem more authentic rather than just acting the scenes.
Nice.
Which, I mean, obviously works because this movie is amazing. But I really liked it. I think you could tell, too, how
Yeah.
much she was in the lifestyle.
Authentic.
Okay, so we meet our main character, who, like I said, is Fern. And we see her clearing out a storage unit at the very beginning and saying goodbye to a friend. I don't really know if we know anything at this point, but she's just like on the move. And we also see her pee outside. And another fun fact, I don't think I've ever peed outside before.
I feel like it's so much harder for women. Like the way she
Yeah.
like just shakes. It's funny.
You have to like squat. I don't know, just it's a whole ordeal.
It's a workout.
Yeah, so that's why I've never done it. She then starts her job at Amazon, and this job is so fascinating to me. Especially, like, I don't understand the mechanics of those machines. That, like, they basically, what it looks like is she is packaging stuff up, right? And so she puts what she needs into, like, some computer screen. And then it comes to her, like, the little unit that has that stuff in it.
Yeah, I'm not really sure. It is interesting.
It like has nothing to do with the movie, but it fascinated me. I was like, how the fuck does that work? And another fun fact is during the 4 months that they filmed, like I said before, they stopped at 7 states, during which Frances McDormand actually performed several of the jobs done by the people who do nomadic work and inspired the book, such as harvesting beets and packaging Amazon orders with the Camper Force program.
I had no idea, like, nomadic work was a thing. Like,
Me neither. And I actually looked up this Camper Force program, and it's like legitimately a thing where they're like, you can do full time or part time, and you get to, I think some people get paid like $120 a week to pay their like campground stuff.
it was very interesting. I like the way the movie kind of shows that because
The lifestyle.
yeah, it's just like cyclical in the year. Like they'll go Amazon, then the next job, and then the next job. It's just very interesting.
Yeah, and cool to see. I mean, another thing that I wanted to know is that Fern mentions her van's nickname is Vanguard, which is a very good nickname, which is what Frances actually named the van used in the film. And she actually decorated it with her own personal items and slept in it during the shoot. Eventually, she stopped doing this, though, because, quote, it's much better for me to pretend to be exhausted than to actually be exhausted. She said in an interview. Which that was funny. Yeah, that seems like why I always see that, especially from like female actresses, where when they asked about like, do you do what's the term? What's the word when they like what Jared Leto does, where they like fully immerse themselves? What is that
Yo,
called?
I had it. Oh, method acting.
Method acting. It was completely lost my.
As soon as you said it, I forgot it.
Yes. Every time I feel like every time somebody, especially like I said, an older like female actress is asked if they do that, they're like, no, why? I just like Toni Collette's like, I think people are like, what? How did you do Hereditary? How are you in that state of mind all day? And she was like, it's acting. I don't know. I just pretend.
I just did
She's
it.
like, when I'm scared on screen, yeah, I'm pretending to do that.
Baller move.
And then there's these like younger actors or like Jared Leto that's like,
Christian Bale.
like, don't talk to me. Is he method?
Well,
Or
like
does he do that?
no.
What I'm thinking of is okay.
I just thinking of like,
I didn't think you'd ask me that.
oh man.
What the fuck?
I was just thinking of like the different trends, like
Well, he
like the
like
extreme things that he's
yeah, he'll like
on. Like
lose
he's,
weight and shit, but I don't think it's doing method.
I don't know,
But
man.
I'm usually thinking about Alex Wolff when
Uh,
he was in Hereditary. That people like he would always have these interviews talking about how taxing it was for him, and then I just like that, and then juxtaposed with Toni Collette. That's like I don't know. I'm fine.
just a 9 to 5.
Yeah, she's like it's a job. And one thing that I instantly noticed was how much I mean, Frances McDormand is really good in this movie, and so is the other actor, David Straightharn. I think that's how you say his name. They're good in this, but I really, really love everybody else in this movie too.
Yeah.
And it's probably because, like I said, with the exception of those two actors, most of the cast of the film are actual nomads and local people, and their name on IMDb and throughout the like credits is just their actual names.
I didn't know that. That's awesome.
Oh, you didn't know that?
No.
Yeah. So I think that's why. I mean, that's why it feels so like authentic is
Yeah.
the word I kept coming up with. Yeah, but they're also just really good. Like it did feel like they were. Maybe that's the point is that they didn't feel like they were acting because they're not
Yeah.
actors.
They're just people.
Exactly. So after trailing, Jesus Christ, after trying and failing to find a new job, Fern decides to just join her friend at this. I think it's one of those like places that they go to. Like it feels like an event kind of thing, and I guess I just didn't. The nomad part of this thing just like left me because I was like, oh, is she gonna live here now? But no, they're just like it feels like a festival kind of thing where they like go there for one season and then they go to a different place.
Yeah. That's what it
And
seemed like. I was interested because I was trying to figure out because I thought the same thing. Like, oh, she's just gonna live there. But
but that's like the exact opposite of what a nomad is.
yeah, it doesn't make sense to me. Like, I was either thinking, like, why do they all travel to the same places if they just stay in the same spot? Like, just stay there. Everyone's coming with you. Like, everyone's gonna be in the same
Yeah.
place no matter what. But I think they all like went different ways.
Or maybe some do. I mean, maybe there's like 2 or 3 people, but
Right.
I don't know. And only seeing like Fern's first night there, we learned pretty quickly that the community isn't really just like, even though like when they go to different places, it's not just them parking a van. Like they sit in a circle around a fire, sharing their stories with each other. Like I think some people were talking about their families. This one guy mentioned how he has PTSD. Like
Mhm.
they're just like super honest with each other from the get go, which is really cool. And we also see more glimpses of this short lived community where she has friends. She goes to seminars. She's like going to this, like an RV show with her friends. And she has a little like flirtation with this random guy. And I had to look up his name. I don't know if they said his name, but his name is Dave.
Yeah, Dave.
But then soon after it ends and Fern is just by herself watching them all drive away, which I would be sad. I don't know how you do that all the time because I'd be like, wait. Like the FOMO, the like missing people. I would just hate that.
You become good friends. You're living with them essentially, and then you got to say goodbye.
Yeah,
But there's only one person left.
Yeah. And then she has to fix up her van. Like she's always constantly working on her van. And so I feel like I always repeat, like if I find one thing I love about a movie, I always repeat it. But one of the things for this one that I'll be just ranting and raving about is the other people in this movie. They're just so good. Like, especially the conversations that we see Fern having with them. They're so authentic, real, precious. Like they're just so good. Like good little pieces where if they just cut that into like a little YouTube video and sent that to me, then that would be as impactful as this entire movie. And they're probably, I mean, thinking about how this movie is filmed, there's no like internal dialogue that we hear. So all that we know about Fern is through these conversations that she has with other people,
Right. It's
which is,
not, my name is Fern. Here's what happened to me. Here's how
I
I
bet
got
you
here.
wonder how I got here, like that kind of thing.
Breaking that fourth wall.
Yeah, but it just, I don't know, that feels like an interesting problem to, or not problem, challenge to have, especially because this is adapting. I don't know, I'm not familiar with the book that it's adapted from, but I'm
Right.
assuming it's a lot of internal like thoughts that you have to put onto the page or put onto the screen. So I'm glad they found out a good way to do it. Um, and yeah, I don't know. It just, I guess I'm sure there are a lot of bad. There's this movie doesn't really show too many of the like cons of being a nomad. They kind of do a little bit, like you're alone a lot, and
Right.
just her trying to adapt to maybe staying with people, but then she can't do it. But um, it does make it seem like a pretty like pure life, like just the way, like the nature of it, like how um Swanky, which is one of her friends, which is an amazing name, is just giving away all of her things because she knows that she's gonna die, and it's for free. She's just like I think I really like the moment when Fern was sitting on a chair and she's like, "You look good in that chair. You need to take it."
It's
It
all
was just
yours.
really, yeah, it was really nice.
Yeah, this movie made me think a lot of like, what am I doing with my life? I'm
Yeah,
like, what am I doing? All these people are just like they're living it up. She had a couple months left, right? She knew what she wanted to do, and she was gonna go do it.
and just the like getting rid of stuff, just like I don't know. I mean, this is not an original thought, but like just the materialistic nature of my life. It made me think about it more about like I do need to. I have like a ton of shit in my car that I need to take to Goodwill. I don't know why I keep holding on to it, or like clothes that I don't need, or I don't know. It just makes me. I'm not somebody that can live very minimalist like this, but I can at very least like I don't need a ton of shit.
Right.
Um, and I think it hit me though, like what life like this actually is once at least for me, what it would be like once Swanky drove off, because it it feels like you meet, like you said, you meet amazing people, but once they leave, you don't. I mean, you can hope that you see them again, but you don't really know. Because like when she drove off, the only thing I thought, because she knows she's dying, like oh she might not ever see her again. And that
Yeah,
made
it
me
made me
really
think of, or I thought of that a lot throughout this movie because she meets tons of people.
Mhm.
One of the people, he says this later, but I'm not sure if you mentioned this, but Bob, the guy who kind of like who runs
Oh
that little
yeah,
camp thing, the thing that he says is he's like, I never say a like a final goodbye. I always say, I'll see you down the road,
yeah. Hmm.
which is cool, but you really do never know when's the last time you're gonna see someone say hello.
I mean, and that's not even just in this life. It's just like, or not only in the life that we see in this movie, but like in your own. Sorry, that's like kind of dark, but
Oh
it's
yeah, we don't. I don't live like this, but I can relate to that. There's
yeah,
people in high
especially
school that I haven't seen in forever that I don't know if I'll ever see them again.
yeah. Or you know what it made me think of? Oh god, this is kind of sad, but like when just those sad quotes that are like, there one day you're gonna put down, like you're going to like set down your kid that you like
Oh
carry all the time, and it'll be the last time you've ever like carried them.
yeah, or
It's like, ugh.
yeah. I had like in high school, I used to hang out with a larger group of friends,
Mhm.
and it was like towards graduation. You know, you like it's a weird feeling because it's like you guys hang out all the time, every single day. You see each other for like 8 hours a day. And I remember saying, They were like, "What the hell are you saying?" But I was like, What do you think the next time?" Or I said, "Do you think this is the last time we're all going to be in a room together?" And they're just like, "Why
Like,
would
no,
you say
shut the
that?"
fuck up. You're ruining my vibe, dude.
Yeah, get off my. But I mean, it's a valid thought.
Or even after, oh God, well, we're going down here. Even like COVID times, right?
Oh,
There's
yeah.
people that especially like at work or even just in my life, there's people that I've seen before because I've been able to, but like, what if, what if that's the last time I'll ever see them again for whatever reason? You
What a
know?
good movie. Makes you think like that. Makes you
Yeah,
think about that stuff.
exactly. All right. Next note. Okay. Fern then goes to another location and works another job, and she bumps into Dave, the guy that she danced with and flirted with earlier. And I really like how chaotic his character is because he like enters her life, breaks all of her plates, which so cringy.
She had like just talked about how sentimental they were to her.
Yeah. Oh my god. And then he has to have surgery. Like he's just like all these things are happening to this guy. And I thought it was the end of that, but then she ends up like hanging out with him more, which was nice. And then one day he has to leave, I think because his son is having a kid. He's becoming a grandfather, so he said he's gonna leave and go like stay with them, or visit them. And he says, "Well, you should come," and she's like, "Nah." And even when he tries to say like bye to her, she can't do it. And kind of what we were talking about before, and I don't know if this connects at all, but it does make me think about what life will be like after quarantine. And especially now that it feels like we can see like the light at the end of the tunnel. Um, that feeling, like I'm excited to be out in the world, but I also feel a little bit overwhelmed by the idea of it.
Oh, for sure. I mean, I haven't physically met a new person in so long. Like, are you kidding me? Like, I like streaming because I meet so many different people from like anywhere in the world, but like actually
Yeah.
physically meeting someone new is very scary to me.
Or even I don't know if you've made friends over quarantine, but I have, and like the thought of meeting them in person stresses me the fuck out. Like not because I don't want to, I obviously do, but like I don't want to be naive in thinking that the relationship I have like online with somebody or even through like a phone call or a Zoom call is the same as an in-person one.
Right.
I'm sure it would be, but like I don't know, that just
It's weird because at some point you're gonna have to bridge that gap.
yeah. And I don't know, it's like I said, it's exciting, but it does make me feel a little overwhelmed. Or even like the idea like what I've learned especially because I have a job that I was lucky enough to stay home this entire time. And so I don't even like not even just meeting new friends, but just even talking to people. And there was a good example was this weekend, Sebastian had to get a haircut and we ended up like going to like a food truck park because we wanted to go eat, but we wanted to like go to a kind of restaurant but be outside. And after he had to go get a haircut. And he was like, "Well, why don't you?" I told him like, "Oh, maybe I'll go to the coffee shop across the street. I'll just get a coffee and just like walk around or something." And then when we got there, I like couldn't do it. Like we got in the parking garage, and but the early days of COVID, I would just if that happened one time, and I just stayed in the car because like their waiting room isn't open, and I just didn't want to like go in, obviously. But yeah, I was like, I don't know. Like, he was like, why not? And I said, I don't know. Just the thought of people being there and like, I don't know what's on the menu. I'm scared to take too long. Like, it just, I feel like I'm getting a little bit like agoraphobic from COVID, like being inside all the time,
Right.
not interacting with people, not even just, I don't know. It weirdly just made me so anxious to go to a new place that I'm not familiar with. Like right now, when I want to go somewhere, like masked, obviously, I go to Target because I'm
Yeah.
familiar with the layout. I'm familiar with, the people. I go so much that like I know who's my favorite cashier. Like I just know like all these things. And I just felt so like for her to just he's leaving, she's so uncomfortable with goodbyes that she just can't do it.
Right. And
Sorry, that
I
was like
think
a long rambling way, but yeah.
a lot of this movie just brings out so much of how we've been, or makes me think of a lot of how we've been living our quarantine life and making that transition back to us a new the new normal or whatever it's
I
going to be
know.
after. Because
I'm so used to the life that I mean, we've been living this life for a year.
right,
I'm so
and
used to it.
yeah, it just makes you wonder, makes me like not hopeful but wishful that I'll cherish like the experiences or connections that I make with people, even though I probably won't ever see them again in my life. You know,
Yeah.
like
Never know.
the people that there's this one guy that she met where she gave him a lighter and she like ended up crossing
Mm.
paths with him later. Like, I don't know.
I also I think this movie also reminds me to give myself some like cut myself some slack where
Right.
like to my if my friends are listening, if you like once this is over, I don't know if we can say quote unquote over, but once it's more acceptable and safe to go out, if you invite me some like to some place, there's probably going to be a period of time where I make excuses not to go. But not because I don't want to, I just have to give myself some time to like adjust to that. It sounds, I don't know, it sounds silly, but I think this movie just made me feel a little bit seen where like she's so like I said, she's so used to being a loner that I don't blame her for not wanting to add another person to her life just
Right.
yet or to settle down because she knows that's not what she needs at the moment. Yeah. And then now back to the movie. She's having pretty major car issues, which would stress me out. Even somebody has like I've had car troubles the past few weeks, but I like I said before, I don't drive anywhere, so it's not that big of a deal. But this is her life, so that just stressed me out
It's her
watching that.
house, she says.
Yeah, well, because the mechanics tell her, like, dude, you got to just buy a new van. Like, there's no point in spending $5,000 on a car that's like worth 3,000. And she's like, well, I've been working on this. Like, you think it's not worth it, but this is like she said, like I've been working on this for years. I've been adding to it. Like, I've been modifying this for so long. It's worth a lot to me.
Right.
So
So
to
much
get the
time.
money, yeah, so to get the money, she decides to go to her sister's place, and it's interesting because like, well, you can see how uncomfortable she is in this life where her sister is like has a house, has people over when she goes, and I don't know. They have this weird conversation where we learn a little bit more about Fern, where she learns that, or we learn that she left home basically like as soon as she could and never came back. Even after Fern's husband died, leave she didn't really leave the nomad life or also didn't leave Empire. And yeah, and so she just has to like defend why she lives the way she does to her sister because her sister's like, I don't get it, which I'm sure is real. You know, a lot of people are like, why would you do that?
Right.
I mean, I'm kind of like that to a point where I'm like, oh, I don't know, that's a little rough for me. Um, yeah. And then she gets the money from her sister and leaves. And another like theme that I thought was interesting was how her sister offers her to stay and she's like, I can't sleep in a bed. Like she's
Right.
just so used to not doing that she can't. Which is interesting. And I also want to talk about the cinematography of this movie because there's so many moments that are just about the characters, like the conversations, and they still look good, but they're really balanced. They're well balanced out with other moments that were just immersed in the landscape of where Fern goes to. There's like a moment where she's in some canyons, just like running around, and it looks so beautiful. And a sunset that they overlook when she's talking to Swanky. And then there's a part, I think, after she goes and sees her sister, where she's like in a forest, and it's just all of it just looks so nice. And I think, just those images are a good argument for why she does this. Because I'm like, oh fuck, I would love to just go and see
And
all
that,
these places within a year.
yeah, that's your living room right there, basically.
Yeah, that's so interesting. And then Fern surprises us and arrives to Dave's family's house, and she visits him. She sees his van just like out front, and it looks like he hasn't been in there for a while. And a quick fun fact, if I don't know if you noticed that Dave's son looks familiar, but it's because the actor that plays Dave's son is played by the actor, like his son. Oh, that doesn't make any goddamn sense. So Dave is played by David Straightharn, and his son in the movie is played by his real son named Tay.
Dave's son is the Dave's son.
Yes. I don't know why I said it in such a random.
So convoluted.
There are sometimes, like, I don't know why at night, it just like after 9, I just can't, obviously. And oh my God. After 8, I can't fucking speak. And you can obviously hear it.
I don't know
And
why
we-
at night when it's like late and the sun is down.
and we record at 8. It's all for content. Yeah, I'm sorry. Cut that out. All right. Dave then tells Fern, I know you're not going to. Dave then tells Fern that he's staying there, and he even offers a place for her to stay. And I really like that his reasoning is not like, I'm in love with you or I need you. He just says, I like being around you, which I thought was very sweet, which is honestly, I think you could just boil it down to that. Like, the person that you want to end up with, you just like being around them. Like, it should be that simple. And I also loved her panicked reaction whenever he like handed her the baby, and she's like, "Oh fuck! Like, what do I do?"
Don't be gone long.
Because the babies are really cute, and that baby is super cute, but they make me fucking nervous. Like, what? Like, what the hell do you do when it cries? I hate when that's happened so many times to me, where somebody hands me a baby and it starts crying, and I'm like, it doesn't want me to hold it. I don't want to hold it. So like, why am I doing this? And then after this, she's on the move again, celebrating the new year by herself. Obviously, she didn't take his offer, which I wanted her to so badly.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I don't think
I knew she wouldn't.
She's so far into the nomad life. I don't think she could go back that easy.
Yeah.
But also, I like how we don't really know how long it is between the places that she goes. Like, we can kind of get a general understanding based on events, but I like that. How when it cuts, we don't know if it's the next day or a month or a couple of months.
Yeah, especially because we don't need to, like it's like the definition said, it's cyclical. So like does she even know what day it is? Like
Probably
she
not.
probably just knows what or maybe, I don't know. Well, she knew it was New Year's. And she's like just celebrating by herself, and I just kept thinking like this movie is so close to what I've felt, because she's just like, Happy New Year, and nobody's coming outside. Like and then we go to Swanky's memorial, where I thought this is really interesting, like memorial that they have that I really liked, where they just like toss stuff into the fire to remember her.
Oh, and I forgot that, but way before that, she like Swanky got to the place that she wanted. She sent the video to her.
Oh yeah, I totally forgot about that. Yes, yeah. I just like their friendship. I'm assuming now. I mean, now that they have like stuff like that they can keep in touch, which is nice.
Yeah.
And then we get to the point when the conversation you were talking about, where Fern tells Bob about her life with her husband, and Bob shares memories of his son. I have a couple of fun facts. Or first, I just want to talk about how like cathartic these conversations feel. Like I bet the people in the film feel the same way. And it just made me think about, there's a certain aspect to movies that I love that I feel like it's not like something like cinematography that you can see or the music that you can hear, but it's just a feeling you get where you can feel the people involved were changed by this movie. Like you can tell that they not only did they love being in this movie, but they believed in what they were making and the message that they were giving. For this movie, you could just tell, especially knowing after watching it, knowing like how far Frances McDormand like went into this lifestyle. You can really feel that she respects her, and Chloe Zhao, like the director, they really respect the people that live this life and what they can teach us. And a fun fact about this conversation, or I guess just about this movie, Many of Frances McDormand's co-stars, such as Swanky and Bob Wells, had no idea she was a Hollywood star. Bob still did not know this until they shot an emotional scene, which is, I think, the one that I'm talking about, in which Fern remembers her late husband, Beau. Afterward, he said to McDormand privately that it meant a lot to her, or it meant a lot for her to tell him that story and that everything was going to be okay. She subsequently revealed to him that her husband's name was actually Joel Cohen. Cohen.
Oh my gosh. I'm gonna finish it for you because you just said colon, and he was still alive, which surprised Bob as he learned that McDormand was in fact an actress.
That's
And
just so
honestly,
funny to me that they didn't know that he was an actress.
yeah, like like they just thought they were filming a documentary instead or something.
I guess so. Or maybe they knew they were filming a movie, but that I don't know, that she was like
She
somebody
was
else
one of
was the
them.
actor. Yeah.
That's cool.
That's just so funny. He's like, "I'm so sorry to hear that." And she's like, "Oh no, my husband's very much alive."
Psych.
And I really love, like you said, I love what Bob said about the idea of "I'll see you down the road" and how it applies to life. Like in the case of his son, it's not just literal, for nomads, but in the case of his son, who he talked about, who passed away, that he knows he'll see him again, and just like who he knows he'll see Fern again. And I really liked that, like I guess the connection of that.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, I think I'll. It's a way. I'll keep on going. Keep on going.
okay. Fern, I got scared that I like messed something up again.
No. You didn't.
Okay. Fern then goes to the storage container from the beginning and gets rid of everything that was in there. I'm assuming it's now, I don't know if we knew this in the beginning, but I'm assuming it's all the stuff that she had in her house with her husband. And she even visits her old workplace, and it looks really like, I don't know, it looks really eerie. And the empty town,
Mhm.
it just looks very desolate as she walks through it to get to her old home because there's still nobody there. Um, and it made me think too. I guess another sad thought, but we were nomads, but we've moved around a lot, especially to like state or not like military housing. And I just wonder what they look like, or if
Yeah,
they're still there. Like if we went to them, would I even recognize them? I don't know. I always think about that. What I wonder what those places look like now.
that is interesting.
Especially,
I don't
part
know.
of me would feel like it would be like when Fern went to her old workplace, how it just feels like they up and left and everything was still there. Like part of me feels like that
Uh,
it would be like that, but I know it wouldn't. They just like once we move out, another family moves in.
yeah, that's weird.
Yeah.
That's real weird.
And then the movie ends with her driving away, and it fades to one last message that reads, "Dedicated to the ones who had to depart. See you down the road."
That's perfect.
Very good.
What I was gonna say earlier, but I felt
Mhm.
like it'd be better said at the end, is that the two things I think that'll stick with me from this movie that I appreciate so much from everyone involved is tied to the like I feel like the two main conversations um that Fern had with Bob. How, I'll see you down the road. Like, you'll always see people again. It never really, there's no final goodbye, right?
Mhm.
And the one that she has with Swanky, or
Mhm.
how Swanky is telling her trip, and how, like, well, she tells her that she's dying and she's going to go to Alaska and see all these birds or whatever. But during that, she talks about her life and how she's had a good life because she's not necessarily done so much, but she's seen so much. She talks
Mhm.
about all the like beautiful things that she's seen and why she was going back to see that one last thing. It's very interesting because I feel like for so long, and still part of me feels like when I get older, I'm going to value the life that I've lived based on things that I've accomplished.
Mhm.
But I feel like this movie just shows that you can still have a pretty amazing life and only just see beautiful things and anything.
Yeah. True.
So Good movie. I really liked it.
Yeah, I loved it. I see why so many people liked it.
Yeah,
It might
it's
be
a
in
banger.
my mind like a front runner. I mean, this is like probably the two movies that I'm going to say two movies that we've seen. But I mean, I really liked it. I can't imagine liking a movie more than this one.
Yeah, it was shot beautifully. Like that one place where I wasn't sure why she ran away from Dave when he was giving the
Mm.
tour. She like ran away, but that place was really pretty. I liked that. All those like rocks.
Yeah, it also just makes me, I mean, I don't know. I think maybe this is a good way to hold ourselves accountable for, I feel like a lot of us are thinking or saying like, "Oh, I can't wait to do that after COVID."
Right.
And this feels like a good reminder, a good time to watch this because it feels like a good a reminder of all those things that I said. And it's not even just like, "Oh, I can't wait to go and get wasted." I mean, yeah, I can't wait. But like also just I can't wait to like go visit my friends or go, go back to Alaska and go
Right.
see these things that I've been wanting to see for a while or it just makes me feel like accountable for making time for those things because this year made me like realize the like you said the important stuff and that it's good to feel accomplished and I really do like what I do and I like feeling those milestones but I also that's not the biggest part of life and it shouldn't be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good movie. What prop would you steal from it?
One of her plates
That's a good one.
or that happy birthday mug.
Uh, I don't know what I would take. Probably.
Oh,
Gosh,
actually I know the chair.
oh, the chair.
That was a nice chair.
My first instinct was to say the plate too, but probably the money that she got from her sister.
I know that was like a
That was a wad.
God. Next time I see you, that's what I expect, Anthony. Just envelope full of cash. And it's
Yeah,
just like HEB buddy bucks.
I don't know what else I'd steal.
It's like, I mean, that's the whole point, I guess.
Yeah, I
Of
mean,
like not having that much stuff.
I'd want one of those cacti. Actually, those are cool.
Hmm. Good
I'm
choice.
sure they weren't like props. They were probably real cacti.
You can take it. All right. Now,
The moment we've been waiting for.
okay, so off the pod, because I was scared about or nervous about accountability. I was nervous. So we wrote down which actor from our perspective or respective movies that we're going to be choosing. Are those notes, sir? That not notes. You have to write down the name.
Oh, I wrote down the name, but I have this is my web of actors that I will win this week.
But do you know how I'm going to choose?
Oh yeah,
How do you know? Now I want to change it.
I just know.
Yeah, I know. Okay. Should we do the ground rules?
Nah, I feel like at this point they just go back and listen. It's just 6 Degrees of Kevin Bacon.
But we connect two people from the movies that we picked. Okay. Well, I'll go first because it's connecting Nightcrawler and then Nomadland, correct?
Yeah, so you go with your character.
Act surprised. Jake Gyllenhaal.
Oh my gosh, I didn't think you were gonna pick that person legitimately.
Did you not prepare for that?
Oh, I did though.
You're not supposed to write them before. That's cheating.
I wrote down the name of the movie.
I think that's cheating, but go on.
How is it cheating? You told me to do my research.
Yeah, not to take notes. It's okay. I'll still beat you. Who's yours?
You're not. It's literally 1 degree.
Who is your person?
David Strathairn.
God fucking damn you.
You think I was gonna pick Francis McDormand?
No, I knew you were gonna pick him, but I forgot to. I thought I looked it up, but I don't remember anything. God damn
You know, now I feel like I cheated because I have.
it! Yeah, you did cheat. You're not supposed to do it before. That was one of the things.
I didn't. I just did all the possibilities.
Did you delete, or did I delete?
I didn't delete anything. Anyways, 5 minutes on the timer. I'll create a new one.
No, you're just gonna write the same thing.
No, I'll create a new one.
No. You can keep it. That's fine.
You're not gonna win. Like, legitimately, there's no way for you to win.
Yeah, I don't know what he's in.
All right, 5 minutes on the clock. Let's go. Okay. So apparently I cheated.
Yeah, you can win this time, but there's an asterisk on this win.
It'll be probably the last time I win.
That's why I'm like, I'll throw him this bone. But like, you can. I don't know. Okay, just tell me what it was.
Here's what I did.
You prepared stuff, which is one of the ground rules. Is you can't prepare stuff.
No,
You deleted it because you're a cheater.
I did not delete that. I promise.
I added them.
I promise you, I did not delete any ground rules. Okay, here's my thought process. I'm like, I'm just gonna come up with every possible scenario that you could throw at me.
You can do that, but you have to do that like after the fact.
I have to remember them.
Yes.
Yeah, you're supposed to come up with that on your own.
I can't come up with. I did come up with on my own.
That's the whole game.
I did come up with it on my own. I just did it beforehand.
You're not supposed to do that, you little shit.
Did you look anything up?
Did I look it up? Yeah, I looked up on IMDb beforehand, not during the podcast.
No, so beforehand, and then you using IMDb, you made the web.
Yeah, we can do that.
That's true.
Okay, so
Put it, like in your head, but don't like.
No,
Yes.
here's what we can do. We can look, but we can't. We have notes out.
you
That's
can't
what I
have
did.
notes. Yeah.
I have so many notes. No. Okay, I'll tell you my 1 degree.
Wait, okay. First of all, we need to clarify this. So maybe the reason I'm giving you this is because maybe I mean I choose to believe that you just didn't understand the rules that I set. But what
Yeah.
this means is you can prepare, you can say, and what I mean by prepare is when I'm watching the movie, I'll look up like, oh, what is Frances McDormand in? And I'll be like, oh, okay, so she's in Fargo and blank is in that. Okay, if maybe I can connect that with that. You can do studying, but this is a closed notes test, my man. Like you can't have a notes
Okay.
and then just read from that. So
Okay.
you can prepare by preparing your memory, but if you forget that something is, the full title is 3 Billboards Outside Ebbing, Missouri, you know what I mean? Like that's the point, is that you can still prepare, but you can't have fucking notes.
Okay. When you described it as a closed notes test, that makes more sense to me.
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
That's exactly what I mean.
as the last open note one, I have a perfect.
There was none, but this is the only one. But
David
it's okay.
Strathairn is in a movie called A Dangerous Woman with Jake Gyllenhaal.
Oh my god. You would see, you little shit. But that's the point, is that I mean, this one's a little bit easier because I know who you're going to pick next week because there's only one other actor in Nomadland.
That's not true.
Who are you going to pick? Swanky?
I don't know. I'll find someone.
Those are the only, I know that. Those from the fun fact. The only 2 actors in the movie that have other credits.
Well, damn. We'll see.
All right, what am I watching?
You're watching Flushed Away.
You're gonna cheat, and then you're gonna force me to watch this movie.
I'll watch it too.
While I'm in recovery.
Look, I'll watch it too.
Oh yeah, that's gonna be hard for you.
I was gonna do it either way. Well, I'm sorry. I had quite a list.
It's okay. Now it's okay. Now we know for sure what the rules are.
Yeah.
Close notes contest.
We're ironing it out. We're ironing. I'll keep up.
I'll let you have this one because you're for sure never gonna win again. All right. So the next movie that we're gonna be watching is a movie on Hulu called The Art of Self-Defense. It's one that we've both seen and we really like. So spoiler alert, we're gonna like it. But I think a lot of people I think it's a little undiscovered gem.
I like it.
A lot of people haven't seen. So all right. See you next time.
Bye.